Hello and welcome to Verbal to Visual. I'm your host, Doug Neill, and today I would like to share with you some sketch notes that I recently took of a podcast conversation between Mike Rohde and David Brittain on the Sketchnote Army podcast. Brittain is the co-founder of the app Concepts, which has been my go-to for digital sketchnoting, and it's the app that I use to take these sketch notes. And while the interview as a whole explored all sorts of topics around Brittain's past, the work that he's done previously, some new things going on within Concepts, I found it most interesting to focus on the philosophical foundations. There's kind of a whole part of the conversation that focused on that aspect of the development of this app Concepts, and I decided that capturing those foundations might help me to better make use of this app. So this app has always been developed with a tablet first, stylist first approach. So focusing on that tool combination rather than trying to appease other devices or other uses as well. And it was interesting to hear about where Brittain feels like this tool fits kind of in the overall design process, since it is this sketching tool. And it's built with a focus on the early stages of design, a place for sketching and rough ideas and visual communication. It's for those reasons that it works so well as a sketchnoting tool, and connected to those ideas, it invites higher level discussion. It was interesting to hear this part of the conversation about not getting too stuck in the weeds of detailed mock-ups, but instead providing this platform for visual communication to kind of get folks on the same page, perhaps if you're sharing your work with others, and quickly sketch out these ideas that allow for higher level discussions. Because that's where you kind of need to get to clarity before you can even move on to the lower level details. What I've noticed though is that for us sketchnoters, I think it kind of can fill that entire process. It can be this tool for rough sketching, but then also, because of the fact that it's a vector-based app, you can do all sorts of fine-tuning. The fact that it's based in vectors means that every mark has kind of this mathematical description behind it that allows you to scale those marks infinitely. You can change the style of those marks, the color of them after you've made those marks. So you don't have to redraw anything. And what's great about Concepts that I had appreciated before, but it's nice to know that this was very intentional, that they wanted to bring the benefit of vectors without it feeling too technical. And I think they strike that balance really well. So what this means for sketchnoters is that you can first kind of focus just on getting all of the ideas and visuals down, and then you can do the second step of maybe moving them around, maybe changing the color, the style of some, that sort of fine-tuning that you might not want to do when you're first quickly capturing the ideas, but that are helpful to do after the fact if you plan to share your notes with others, or if you want to just make them a little bit more visually appealing for yourself. I also very much appreciate the amount of export options and how they've made this tool platform independent. So again, with the foundation of it being for the early stages of design, most folks are going to want to take the visuals out of the app itself, out of Concepts, and do something else with it. So some, but not all of the export options are as a JPEG, a PNG, a SVG, that's kind of a vector graphic, as a Photoshop file, or as a PDF. And then what I feel like is somewhat rare among many of the apps that sketchnoters tend to turn to, it's very few to have an app like this that's available on all three of these platforms, iOS, Android, and Windows, and that they're built natively for each. That was cool to hear about as well. With the key phrase that Brittain mentioned, we're not trying to trap you in the product. And related to that, we want you to find a good fit for us within your workflow. So even if you export some version of your project and pull it up maybe within another app on your tablet, maybe within a more fully functioning editing tool on a computer, there are enough of these options to find that workflow that works well for you. And that's another thing that I think is great for sketchnoters, because likely you are going to want to do something more with your sketch notes after you first take them, even if it's just doing my go-to, which is exporting your final sketch note as a high quality JPEG so that you can maybe store that image on your hard drive. In my case, post it to a blog or make a video like this about it. Though here I am sharing my screen within Concepts because it is pretty great to, be able to zoom in as much as you want without losing quality. That's just kind of fun to see. So those were some fun ideas to hear about. And I feel like having a better appreciation for the philosophical foundations that underlie this app that I've come to enjoy quite a bit. It just gives me more confidence in continuing to use this app and continuing to develop more and more mastery with it and figure out where it fits for me within my sketchnoting workflow. My go-to has been something of a mind map structure, kind of like you see here, some central idea or topic or question, more or less in the center of the page, and then being able to branch off and share each of the main details related to it. And since it's an infinite canvas, you can always zoom out and pan over to a new part of your canvas to continue growing your ideas, no matter how many you end up capturing. So I hope it was helpful to see and hear me talk through this particular sketch note. I've actually created a playlist of videos that I've made in the past related to the app Concepts, in case you want to dive deeper into this particular tool. And to go even further into the world of sketchnoting, come join us inside Verbal to Visual. There you'll find a handful of complete at your own pace online courses, including one called Digital Sketchnoting, where we explore apps like Concepts and a bunch of other apps, and even more important than that, maybe some of the underlying features that are common across digital note-taking apps so that you can figure out how to use those features within your sketchnoting workflow. In addition to those courses, we also have weekly live webinars to continue doing deep dives into specific sketchnoting topics. Plus, you'll get to connect with a global community of sketchnoters that are building their skills and sharing their work. Lots of cool stuff going on there. To learn more and sign up, check out the links below this video. There you will also find a link to the full podcast episode, which I also encourage you to go check out. Thank you so much for watching. I'm looking forward to sharing more sketchnoting tips and other sketchnoting examples with you in the future. See you in the next video.